in Nexus on December 2020. I took emerging technology for business. So I'm very interesting. That Stibik Bandung and Stolmit Academy can collaborate with Nexus. To upgrade our students and lecturers' skill in emerging technology. So in this time, I think this is very hard time for us to learn, to learn directly from Mr. Jeff as president of Nexus, how we can upgrade our skill in emerging technology. So my audience, and on this occasion too, we also announced that Mr. Jeff Felix was appointed as one of the adjunct associate professor at Stibik Bandung. So Mr. Jeff Felix, from today, we appoint you as one of the adjunct associate professor at Stibik Bandung. So this is our commitment to improve our quality for Stibik Bandung in international standard quality for our student, lecturers, and society in Indonesia, especially in digital transformation and emerging technology.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Felix. So I will inform to audience about the certificate of appointment to Mr. Jeff Felix. Okay. So we hope you can receive this appointment, Mr. Jeff.
Yes.
Thank you very much for this to become one of the adjunct associate professor at Stibik Bandung. Okay.
And thank you so much. It's an honor to be an associate adjunct at Stibik Bandung. Thank you so much.
So maybe we can applause for Mr. Jeff today.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Dani. I think it's all my opening speech. So I will give this session to you and Mr. Jeff.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Abdul Rahman, for your opening speech. And the second session is the presentation from Mr. Jeff Felix. I will introduce a summary of Mr. Jeff Felix that is declared from Mr. Abdul Rahman. I only add the information about Nexus. Nexus is a global certification body of vendor neutral, emerging technology certification, and micro-credential for business, data development, IT, and security professionals. Mr. Jeff will explain more detail in this session. Okay, now it's your time. Please, Mr. Jeff, you can start your presentation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jeff.
Enjoy your time.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. And I first want to thank Mr. Abdurrahman and Mr. Dani for inviting me to join them today, as well as my designation as Associate Adjunct Professor with Solmet and Stibik Bandung. I'm very pleased and honored with that designation. As shared with you, we are going to speak about emerging tech and the need to develop skills. So it's important to understand the background. So we're going to talk a little bit about emerging technology first, and then we will speak to the growth in skills that are needed, and then how you can go about acquiring those skills to meet this specific need. But before we jump in again, I just want to reintroduce myself. Again, my name is Jeff Felix, and I serve as the president of CertNexus. CertNexus is a USA company, although we operate globally. So we are a certification body focused on emerging technologies, as shared previously with you. So what we do is we help train and skill up individuals as well as to help certify them with partners like we will through Solnet Academy and STIMIC. So we work with partners globally to do that. We've certified individuals in dozens of countries across the world to date. Let's first define emerging tech. And many times when we think about emerging technologies, we think about futuristic technologies. We think about technology as we see it in the movie theater, in the cinema, where robots are ruling the world and it's this futuristic technology. But the fact is, emerging technology merely means technology that has yet to reach its full potential, both from adoption, the number of companies using it, as well as those companies are using it, haven't reached the full potential of the technology yet. But the fact is that emerging technology is being used globally today. So you can see this report where last year, $5 trillion was spent on technology. Of that $5 trillion, $1 trillion, fully 20% of that was spent on emerging technologies. What you can also see is that roughly a quarter of those dollars were spent in Southeast Asia. So the fact is that the US and the Southeast Asia are the two hubs of technology and emerging technology. And that's, as we'll see, that's only has the opportunity to grow further. But what I also want to recognize is the growth of emerging technology. Not only does it represent 20% of our spend today, but the fastest growing technologies will be these emerging technologies. So we'll still see growth in hardware systems and other software, non-emerging tech software applications that we're familiar with, like a Microsoft Office, a Gmail, those type of applications. Other services in telecom will all continue to grow. But the greatest growth, in fact, 50% of all growth projected is going to come from these new emerging technologies. So as a person that's looking to skill up, we'll see that the greatest demand will continue. There will still be demand for people that are Microsoft certified or Cisco certified or VMware certified, but the greatest growth and the greatest opportunity is for those that will have skills in these emerging technologies. And these emerging technologies are forming the foundation of the fourth industrial revolution. A couple words or terms that you'll hear often is Industry 4.0, as well as digital transformation. Digital transformation is the act of transforming from a less digital environment to a more digital environment. Again, many times those are facilitated by emerging technologies, but may be inclusive of other technologies. So if you hear of a company or a school going through a digital transformation, they may do something that's paper-based or using less complex technologies and then transforming that to more complex and many times automated technologies. And with Industry 4.0, what we're doing is we're really transforming the way we use technology. You think about it, some of you may be too young to know, but if you think about your parents or others, the way they would use technologies, their access to technology, it was much more simplistic. And many times it wasn't always held in their hand. In fact, when I went to university, we didn't have handheld devices. So, mobile phones were just becoming popular, but we didn't have smartphones. And so you think about that in the past number of years, how we've transformed to where now we have handheld devices. But now with Industry 4.0, not only are we using those devices to call and text, but we're starting to use them to engage with the world. Whether that's through social media or in an industrial setting, we can actually determine when lights go on and off, when we heat and cool a facility or building. We can start to actuate other devices. We use it in agriculture, healthcare, in banking and finance. There's a number of uses of now where technology is, again, with the formation of Industry 4.0, is revolutionizing how we do business today. And with that, underlying all this is the use of data. So if you think about, if you're on social media, you're generating data that is being captured by those social media platforms all the time. So if you're using any social media platform, the way that they make money is they monetize that data. They capture that data, and then they have advertisers present ads utilizing that data. if you have a smartwatch, or if you have a Fitbit or any type of other watch that can actually track, for example, your pulse, or whether you've exercised or not, other devices like that. All of those data, all those devices again are capturing data. That data all is captured then in cloud, in the cloud, and then those companies again are using that. One is to provide that data back to you because you want to see that, and then are monetizing that. But then they're also using that for ad revenue and other types of opportunities as well. So one of the things you have to think about is you're entering a career, no matter what it is, whether it's Internet of Things or cybersecurity or AI or machine learning, data analytics, even marketing or sales. It's all highly dependent upon data, and data is becoming a bigger and bigger part of our business world, and your understanding of how data is collected, how it's engineered, and how it's used for predictive analytics is going to be becoming more and more important. And in fact, as you can see here, the most valuable companies are all built on data, right? I use Google as an example. If you use Google or similar search engine, again, what they're doing is they're capturing data, and then how they're making the majority of their money is by, again, advertising revenue. Companies advertise, like our company does, based on people's searches on Google. So all of this technology is creating some level of fear. Probably many of you on the webinar tonight are more tech savvy and have interest in technology careers, but for a number of people, there's a fear of, am I going to be replaced by a machine? And the fact is, each industrial revolution we've gone through, we've had jobs that have been replaced by machines. But the fact is, the reality is, we end up working with machines. I always use agriculture or farming as an example, right? Many people are concerned that tractors would displace all the farmers. Well, the fact is, farmers use tractors now. There's less farmers, but many farmers have moved into cities or other towns where they're actually now performing other jobs. And it's going to be the same here. So again, reality is most of us are going to learn how to work with machines, whether that's in a manufacturing environment here or obviously in an office environment. And in most cases, the jobs are just going to change. So some occupations, some jobs, as we'll see, will actually move towards obsolescence, will essentially go away. But many more new jobs, as we'll see, will come into being, and we'll see that on the next slide. But the fact is the majority of jobs, is what you do will change. So some of the tasks that you do today may be automated by artificial intelligence. Which means that you'll focus on other tasks, higher level tasks that can't be performed by artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is really good at doing very specific things, but not at things that take higher cognitive capabilities that you all possess that can do higher value activities. So again, we're going to see jobs, most jobs will change because of autonomous technologies like artificial intelligence, those fueled by data and data science and IoT and other like technologies. But the fact is that there'll be more new jobs than jobs that will move towards obsolescence or go away. So if you look at this report from the World Economic Forum, they show that over the next couple of years, that there'll be 75 million jobs that may just go away. So it's jobs like data entry clerks or basic accounting or bookkeeping. Some assembly and factory work will go away. But with that will come a number of new jobs, as we've seen again in previous industrial revolutions, right? Farmers became people that worked in factories. People that worked in factories started working in office environments. It's the same thing here. So someone that might be doing data entry might become a data analyst. Someone that is a software programmer may become a machine learning developer. So again, there will be a number of new jobs that will be created with these technologies. And this is true locally as well. I found this statistic, and it talked about Indonesia's positive story, right? That there will be many more jobs that will be created by 2030 than are lost to automation. So if you look at it, there'll be 23 jobs that could be, won't absolutely be, but could be displaced by automation by 2030. So again, some of those jobs I talked about, and some of them may be in the factory, maybe some of them may be data entry work, or other types of jobs. But the fact is that 26 to 46 million new jobs can be created in the same period. So you think about it, for every job that's lost, there are going to be 1 to 2 jobs that are going to be created because of technologies. And the fact is that 10 million of these new jobs, so anywhere from almost a third to or 25% to a third of these jobs, are going to be new occupations. They're going to be jobs that don't exist today. So think about that. The job in over the next 5 to 10 years that you may be working in may not exist today, may not exist anywhere in the world, or at least that specific designation. That's how exciting these technologies are. So you have to understand that yes, some jobs are going to go away, and as in Indonesia, as it will across other parts of the world. But again, there's going to be more new jobs, and many of those new jobs are going to be based on these new technologies and the skills you can develop to actually participate in these jobs across all industry sectors. So like you can see, whether it's healthcare, construction, manufacturing, retail, banking and finance, again, any industry will be utilizing these specific technologies. But here's the challenge. I always, when I present outside of the US, I always like to look at 2 things. What's the size of the population? And what's the average age of the population? And then I look at some challenges that we have here, right? So it's forecasted right now that by 2025, in only 4 short years from now, that the internet economy is going to grow to more than 100 billion US dollars in 4 years. So think about that, 100 billion dollars is a significant amount of money. But right now, the challenge Indonesia has, it only produces 278 engineers per million people a year. So you think about it, yes, there's almost 275 million people in Indonesia, so there's a lot of people. But as you think about it, out of every million people, there's only 278 new engineers being produced a year, right? You have to quadruple or 10 times that number, even start to near the demand that you'll have. Here's what's working in Indonesia's favor. Indonesia has a large population, and you also have a young population, right? Many of you joining us tonight are less than the average age of 28, right? So the fact is you have a younger population, again, an average age of 28. In the US, the average age is 38 years old. So we are an older population in the US than you are in Indonesia. We have fewer people coming into the workforce, fewer people that can actually take these new jobs. So Indonesia has a great opportunity because you have so many young people coming into to jobs today that again require these technologies. So again, what we want to look at is there's a growing skills gap in Indonesia as well as around the world. I took some specific statistics for Indonesia, and on LinkedIn in Indonesia, if you're not familiar with it, it's a networking site, but also one of the leading job sites. It says that AI is the most promising job in Indonesia right now. So looking at AI specialists, those who understand machine learning, deep learning, natural language processing. And you can see across the world as statistics on the right-hand side, for every 3 jobs in AI, there's only 1 person that can fill those jobs today. So you think about it, in most cases, when you go to apply for a job, there's more people than jobs. In this case, there's essentially fewer people than there are number of jobs available. It's the same with data science. Data science is the number 4 LinkedIn 2020's most promising job. And again, you can see some of the skills around data science, data mining. We also do use languages like Python and R, etc. And it's the same thing on the right-hand side. You can see for every 3 jobs, again, there's only 1 person that can fill that job. So again, the opportunities for data scientists and machine learning developers are vast. It's the same with the Internet of Things. Again, 80% of organizations say that the biggest challenge that they have to implementing the Internet of Things or IoT is the lack of skilled professionals. So the more skilled professionals we have, the better opportunity those organizations have. And you, obviously, as individuals in successful careers. It's the same thing in cybersecurity. In cybersecurity right now, there's over 3 million jobs open globally. And you can see in the Asia Pac region, there's over 2 million open cybersecurity jobs. So you think about that, 2 million jobs that are unfilled right now in Asia Pac, and globally, there's over 3 million jobs that go unfilled because there's just not enough skilled people to put into these jobs. And even and to be honest, even the people in those jobs still need more skills, and so are lacking all the skills they need to do to continue to do their jobs. So it's a huge opportunity again for individuals interested, as well as a need for organizations themselves. So what are we asking you to do? Think about what you want. First, this is to develop your plan. So how do you get from where you are today to one of these jobs, whether it's in artificial intelligence or data science or IoT or cybersecurity or other emerging technologies as well? The first thing you need to do is determine where you are and where do you want to be. So what is your skill set today? Maybe you've had some exposure to programming languages. Maybe you haven't. Maybe you've done some data analytics, maybe in Excel, but you need to further those skills. You need to learn SQL querying and some other basic skills if you're going to go into data science. Maybe you have a networking background, but you want to expand that to IoT. So what does that mean? So you get out to edge computing and beyond. Maybe it's cybersecurity. Maybe you have some foundational networking background, but you're like, now I need to layer on that cybersecurity. So how do I get from where I am to becoming a cybersecurity professional? Then engage a partner like Solomon Consulting, right? With the school as well, right? You have the opportunity to engage someone that can help you along pathways. And that's really the next step, is develop a learning pathway. They're going to guide you. They're going to help you understand where you are, where you need to go, and how you move along that pathway, building the skills so you can, again, obtain the employment in these emerging tech fields. Then you need to invest in yourself, right? The fact is those people that are most successful are often the people that are willing to invest in themselves. And investment isn't always just monetary. It's not just money, but it's also time, right? So learn the necessary knowledge and skills, right? Go one step above just learning basic programming and learn about the programming languages like Python that are used in machine learning and data science. If you're in cybersecurity, understand the scope of the skills that are needed. You know, a lot of people talk about hacking, but it's not about hacking. It's about threat hunting. It's about forensics. There's a whole set of capabilities and skills that are needed that make up the majority of those 3 million jobs globally. While you're going through your education, achieve industry certifications. Industry certifications like those available from CertNexus are recognized by companies that are employers, and employers use those to help to better understand the skills and knowledge of people that are going to be employed in their organization. So it's a win for both sides of that. And again, your education partner can help you understand what certifications are going to be most helpful to you. Gain useful experience. Whether it's a paid experience or even if you volunteer your time, if that's available to you, to learn more. And even if you can't actually do it in a formal work environment, and you want to, for example, start to learn how to program, and then see what communities out there can you start to learn, actually participate in. There's open source communities where you can start to submit code samples to them, get feedback on those, get experience. And then it's network with your future peers. The fact is that all of you should not only be networking with your existing peers, schoolmates or other young professionals, but also think about who are the people that you want to work with? Who are the people you want to work for? And start networking with them. LinkedIn is free. I always tell people that you don't pay anything to connect with someone on LinkedIn, right? So figure out who do you want to work with, who do you want to follow? Is there a company that you like? Go follow them on LinkedIn. Are there people at that company you would like to work with someday? Try to reach out to them. Tell them, hey, listen, I'm at the I'm learning. This is what I hope to do someday. Would you be part of my network? Do those things, and you'll have much more greater success as you continue your path towards whatever career it is that you choose. And finally, recognize training is for life. The fact is that many of us think about education, and we think about when we start in primary school, and then we might end up at university or at some point along that way. But the fact is that you need to understand that to be relevant, to be successful in your job, you're always going to be learning. So if you learn Python this year, maybe next year you're learning about machine learning algorithms. If you're learning about machine algorithms next year, maybe the year after that, you're starting to learn about deep learning and natural language processing and speech recognition and computer vision. So the fact is that you'll be learning your entire life. And it's actually, it's a great adventure. It's a great opportunity for you. And to be honest, I find it great fun. The fact is I would never want to be in an environment where I wasn't asked to learn. So think about that as you're going to do this forever, whether it's through formal education, continuing education, getting training on the job, or investing in yourself or your company investing in you to further your skills as well. And with that, we're going to open it up for Q&A. And I just want to start by saying every question is a good question. So, and even if we didn't cover a specific topic, but you have a question around emerging technology or the skills that are needed, please feel free to ask any question and I'll do my best to answer it.
Pak Dhani masih unmute, Pak Dhani. Please unmute your speaker, Mr. Dhani.
Thank you, Mr. Jeff, for explaining, sharing about emerging technology and the need to develop skills, especially skill for students and steps to develop plan. Now we continue to Q&A sessions. To all participants who want to ask some question, please raise your hand or you can ask via chat room. Please.
Okay, Mr. Dhani.
Yes, Mr. Abdurrahman.
Yeah, thank you very much for your explanation, Mr. Jeff.
Yes.
Yes, so your explanation inspiring us in our campus and our company that the needs to develop skill in emerging technology is a must. Yeah. So you explained just now that in Indonesia the economic growth of internet. Yeah, I think this is very interesting. Yeah, and we are very glad that the internet growth in Indonesia is the trend is up. Yeah, but the engineer that we produce in Indonesia around 287 engineers per 1 million.
Yes.
So this is our homework. Yeah, maybe
yes.
How many percent the ideal ratio for 1 million? How many engineers that Indonesia or each country must produce to enhance their skill so Indonesia can adapt in emerging technology economy?
Yeah, and so if you think about it, and I'll use the U.S., we have similar populations. The U.S. is slightly larger, so there's about 275 million people in Indonesia and about 330 million in the U.S. And we're graduating literally tens of thousands of students per million in what we call STEM topics, right? Science, technology, engineering, and math. So it's a much larger number in the U.S. Right now than it is in Indonesia. So if you look at it, that per million number is going to have to be much larger. The number of people that work in the technology industry in the U.S. is in the millions, and less so than Indonesia. So I think if you're looking to have a robust technology-based economy as we see in the U.S., you're going to need to have millions of people, many millions of people employed directly in technology. The great news is that you have a lot of young people, so you have that opportunity. The other thing I would say too, that's really, I think, as people are listening to this, is that there's a lot of technology that comes out of the U.S. Specifically, if you've heard of Silicon Valley, right? A lot of it comes out of Silicon Valley. So all the major social media, is Google, et cetera. All those companies are based in Silicon Valley. But the fact is, with emerging technologies, it's really a more level playing field. With the appropriate investment and skill development, any country can have the next Facebook or the next Google. There's a great opportunity for that.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Jeff. As we know, in digital economy, we know about the democratization. Yeah, democratization in education and certification education. Maybe you hear from some expert that now we we have to perform the democratization institution of certification, not only for giant company like Google, IBM, and the others. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as we know that SatNexus and Blockchain Council and others, I think this is indicate that democratization institution of certification for standardized emerging technology is brought up. Yeah. I agree with your opinion that SetNexus is one of the international or global certification institutions. So maybe we can collaborate with Stimbik Bandung and Solmit Academy to develop my student skill and lectures, yeah, in emerging technology. Yeah. So in Indonesia, we can develop many engineers, yeah, to yes to build our nation in digital economy. Yeah. Thank you very much,
Yes.
Mr. Jeff. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. And it is, and Mr. Abduram, it is about as you said, the democratization of education and making it available for everyone. So everyone that's has interest. I always say it's about aptitude and attitude. If you
Yeah.
have the aptitude to learn, which most people do, and you have the right attitude, you'll go a long way. And so yes, we work with organizations like yours, like the academies, to make sure that learning is available to individuals.
Mr. Jeff, once more my question that artificial intelligence, data science, NLP, and others is skill in emerging technology. But as we know that we discussed in the previous webinar, especially in artificial intelligence, yeah, as we know that about the ethical in artificial intelligence development, it will be more dangerous for human being, yeah, if
Yeah,
the developer of artificial intelligence not performed by ethical. I saw in your Nexus that you provide certification in certified ethical artificial intelligence. Is
yeah,
okay? Yes, I think.
yeah,
Can you
yeah,
explain
yeah. And
about it?
yeah, and it is, and it's one of the things that we realized as we were developing our certified AI practitioner, which helps people become machine learning developers, is the need to develop ethical artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is the first technology available to us that doesn't depend on humans to programmatically tell software what to do. With artificial intelligence, the algorithm it learns and it actually starts to make its own decisions. So we need to understand that we need to, with the data that we provide to it, the algorithms we select to use, that we need to make sure they don't contain biases. So don't contain biases certain people based on age, race, ethnicity, uh, uh, gender, etc. Also in a business world, that business data is not biased, that doesn't contain all the correct information for a business. But it's very important not only to understand how to develop artificial intelligence, machine learning or deep learning, but how to do that, as you stated, in an ethical way that's not going to cause harm, will do not only good for a business, but also societal good as well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jeff. So certain institutes maybe has academic program. So maybe special for academic program for student lectures to take
Yes,
certification in Nexus, Mr. Jeff.
yes, yes, definitely.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So we will follow up our collaboration with Mr. Hong, yeah? from logical operation. Yeah.
Yes. Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Ab, for your question and Mr. Jeff for your answer. Are two questions from chat room. I will read the first question from Pak Gede Made Karma. Technological developments very fast and sometimes even unthinkable. On the other hand, we are not directly involved with these developments. We are just users. Or should we anticipate it? What should our strategy be like in the world of education? That is the first question. Please,
Yeah.
Mr. Jeff.
Yeah, and it's a fabulous question. So, technology is moving at a pace which is difficult for us to maintain our skills. So a couple things I would say. One is going back to that last slide, what I showed, which is the lifelong learning. So the fact is we have to realize that we need to continue to upgrade our skills on a continuous basis. So in some cases that may be every year, it may be every month, and it might be every week. The fact is we'll have to continue to reskill ourselves. The other is that we have to recognize that it's no longer a division between people that develop technology and people that use technology. As we continue to move forward in the world, it's just going to be about the technology. And even those that have traditionally been users of technologies are going to in some way be involved in the development of technology. You might not be actually the person writing the code, but you might be the person, the decision maker, or the person that is a stakeholder, someone that the technology may impact. And so you have to give input and feedback to the people that are building those technologies. So it's important, where in the past we've been able to say, hey, listen, that's an IT concern, and so we'll give it to the IT team. In the future, we're all going to be involved. So if you're a marketing professional and you don't understand artificial intelligence, it's going to be hard for you to understand how to use a marketing automation system or Google Ads or like platforms. If you are a sales professional and you don't understand customer relationship management systems, and again, you won't be an effective user not only of those systems, but potentially a salesperson. It's going to be the same thing in everything that we do. Technology is becoming so pervasive. So what I would say to everyone is stop thinking about yourself as just users of technologies, and now you are actually participants in technology. Again, you may not be writing code yourself, but you're going to start participating in the way that it's developed. What it's used to develop, what types of products and services, and how you bring them to the market as well.
Thank you, Mr. Gede, for your question, and Mr. Jeff for your answer. The second question from chat room from Mr. Ahmad Hamid. What is your opinion on IT career? I used to be CIO, Chief Information Officer of a company. I was proud of the job, but now I read in a magazine CIO means career is over. Why? Are you agree with that? Company does not need CIO anymore. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't think so. I think, in fact, the CIO and as well as the Chief Information Security Officer, the CISO, those and there you'll also start to see Chief Data Officers. Those jobs are becoming more important to an organization. Again, if you think about it, technology used to be a service to the company. It allowed people to send and receive emails, go out to the internet, potentially host an e-commerce site, etc. But it was considered a tangential to the primary business motivations of making money and profit and revenue. Now it's all facilitated by IT. And if an organization that you were with didn't value the CIO, they were probably at some point may not be a profitable company or be a company any longer. We've seen companies like this in the US that once were great companies that are no longer because they didn't adopt technology. They didn't put technology at the center of their business. And so I think any company of the future and who will be successful in the future is going to start put technology in the center of their business. And so that CIO, the CISO, the CISO, the chief data officer, and others that are developing, administering, and essentially enabling business through technology should be, the chief executive officer should be the CEO, the COO, and then all those other folks in a room together. So we should see, again, this job further in importance, not lessen. And if I could just say one other thing, specifically think about with COVID, how many people moved from working in an office to working virtually, right? All of that was facilitated by the IT organization, the CIO in that organization. So again, we need to think about it that, again, some organizations may not value it, the right organizations will value those jobs.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zaki and Mr. Jeff. Now I will read for all participants, for our audience. This is the presentation link. This webinar, please you can fill in the link to get e-certificate for this webinar. Okay, for your information, Mr. Jeff, this webinar was attending by students, professionals, and the who is interested in this topic. And so not only live via or through Zoom, but we live via YouTube, STEMIC and Solmit Academy. Okay, please continue to other participants. Okay, this is a question from Esam Midwali. I believe AI, it means artificial intelligence, and more specifically deep learning, is what made the move to fourth industrial revolution. What do you think?
Yeah, Mr. Assam, that's a great observation. So it is. Artificial intelligence is definitely one of the cornerstone technologies to the fourth industrial revolution. The other technologies is the IoT, the Internet of Things. The fact is we have 25 billion connected devices in the world. That number is expected to triple in the next 4 years. So we're looking at 75 billion connected devices. So, we wear those on our wrists, we attach them to our cars, they're in our workplaces. So much of that is the architecture, or I shouldn't say architecture, but the infrastructure to a lot of Industry 4.0. But artificial intelligence layered on top of that, to your point, is driving a lot of the innovation. So when we think about whether it's autonomous vehicles, or we start to think about the use of AI in healthcare for diagnostic purposes, when we start to think about it in transportation, manufacturing, banking and finance, the fact is Mr. Assam, as you stated, much of that is leveraging AI, and that is truly revolutionizing business. The one thing I do want to mention, though, is it's all using data. So IoT and other platforms like social media are generating huge volumes of data. Then what we have to do is we have to engineer that data through data science, and then that's when we hand it off to AI to allow AI to essentially do that processing of that data to get to those predictive outcomes. So it's all these technologies intermingled together. But I do agree that AI is really what is bringing us through, into this industrial revolution to the extent that we are. And the fact is, we're just at the tip of artificial intelligence. In fact, if I could just take a minute to explain, right now we use what we call artificial narrow intelligence. That's intelligence less than a human brain. We're working towards, in something in the next decade, we'll have artificial general intelligence, which is comparable to human intellect. Maybe not emotional, but from an intelligence perspective. And then beyond that is super intelligence. So you think about it, we're still in the most nascent phase of development of AI. So there's so much we will expect to see over the years to come.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for Mr. Aisam Mitwali and Mr. Jeff.
Great.
Okay, for participant for
While we're waiting for
audience,
questions, while we're waiting for questions to come in, I just want to remark on one other thing. You think about it, artificial intelligence, although the modern version of artificial intelligence has been around for 70 years, and artificial intelligence, as we think about it today, was really became more commonplace with Apple, with Siri in 2011. So you think about it as a technology, artificial intelligence started then, really became more commonplace in about 2016, 2017 in business use. So the fact is that this is a technology that's less than a decade, and some will say really the maturity of it has been over the past 5 years. And so this is a technology, again, that has so much potential that we've yet to realize. So again, going back to our presentation as well, is why the reason why we have a need for such great skill development in this area as well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. For today, the presentation link, it works. Yeah, please try again. Okay, for all audience, please your question.
So, Mr. Jeff.
Yeah, Mr.
Yes.
Abdurrahman.
Yeah. STIMIC Bandung is education institution in informatics engineering. Yeah, that we will perform education, yeah, IT educations, especially follow the emerging technology. Maybe you have a recommendation, how many percent about emerging technology in our curriculum, so we can perform our student expert in emerging technology. Yeah, maybe you have an experience in USA about the curriculum in informatics engineering that special in emerging technology.
Yeah, and so what we're seeing is that more universities in the U.S. the same is they're introducing more emerging technology. So obviously you want to have some foundational technology. So I'm going to pick machine learning developer or a data scientist. You're going to want to have an understanding of advanced math. You don't have to be a mathematician or a major in mathematics, but you have to understand functions and equations. Again, you may not have to solve for them yourself, but you have to have an understanding of them. So we think it's good for everyone to have an understanding of math if they're going to go into a programming career, and especially if you're going to go into artificial intelligence or data science. In addition to the math, you really want to invest in foundational programming. We often use Python as an example because Python is used so extensively in machine learning and artificial intelligence. And what you want to look at is programs like ours, our certified AI practitioner, which develops someone to become a machine learning developer, or a certified data science practitioner who helps someone become a data science professional. And then, as Mr. Abdurrahman shared earlier, is that we also want people to understand the ethics behind that as well with our ethical emerging technologists. So those are types of pathways that you'll start to see. So, and as you'll see in the development of your own skills for the individuals on here, whether it's through STIMIC Bandung or through Solomon Academy, is that you're going to spend more time, probably as much as half or maybe more than half of your time now in these emerging technologies, because that's, again, if you're thinking about future jobs, that's where the jobs will be.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jeff.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Abdurrahman and Mr. Jeff. Is there any questions from all participants? Please. Yeah. Okay. I think there is no more questions. Ya, Pak Abdurrahman bisa kita
Ya, saya kira
tutup ya.
Ya.
Ya. Oke, thank you so much, Mr. Jeff Felix and Mr. Abdurrahman. Before we close the webinar, would you mind giving a closing statement from Mr. Abdurrahman, from Mr. Jeff? Please, Mr. Abdurrahman first.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Dani. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Jeff. In 1 hour, we have learned about emerging technology and needs to develop skill in emerging technology. Yeah, so this is becomes our feedback for, especially for me, to perform to enhance the student and lecture skill in emerging technology. Yeah, so we can collaborate to upskill this skill. Yeah, with SetNexus. So we have uh, a recommendation for SetNexus, special for Mr. Jeff Felix. Yeah, how is SetNexus can perform like mini project or application project in emerging technologies. So the engineer around the world, yeah, especially for student, academic, can try and can research, yeah, with Nexus, yeah, especially in emerging technology. Yeah, maybe you can provide the forum or the media, yeah, how to stimulate, to formulate about uh, development of emerging technology application. Yeah. So this is what you explained to us. This is our uh, input for me, yeah, for us in Unit Bandung to enhance our quality in emerging technology education. Thank you, Mr. Jeff. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Abdurrahman. And for Mr. Yeah, would you mind giving a closing statement for today's webinar?
Yes, first I want to thank Mr. Abdurrahman and Mr. Dani for inviting me today. Again, it's a great pleasure to be associated with STEMIC Bandung as well as the Solmet Academy. Again, thank you everyone for taking the time out of your morning today to be with us. And I think as we leave this webinar, I think it's important, as I said before, start to, on that last slide, understand where you are, where you want to be, work with a partner, such as STEMIC Bandung and Solmet Academy to help devise a pathway to get you from where you are to where you want to be. Then it's, again, investing in yourself. Again, it will, may incur some financial investment, but more important is your time investment, and use that time wisely. Use it to develop the skills that will make you successful at your current job or future job, and enjoy it. We have in our company, we have a saying that it's let's make money and have fun doing it, right? So choose a career that's going to be fun. And the fact is, emerging technologies is an exciting place to be. There's so much we're doing with these technologies today. And so enjoy the journey. It is a journey, and continue to invest in yourself and learn throughout your career, partnering with organizations like Solmet and STEMIC Bandung.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Jeff and Mr. Abdurrahman. Very interesting topic for today's webinar, especially for us as academic people. Yeah. Thank you for all participants, speakers, and supporting team besides me for coming, and hopefully we will meet again in the next international webinar series of STEMIC Bandung. Yes. And from me, give us if we have some mistakes for today's webinar. Stay healthy, stay safe, be happy and productive. Okay, thank you so much for all. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jeff.
Thank you.